Thank you, Chair. Mr Anderson, in early September, the Australian Jewish News reported that the ABC was reviewing the social media activity of Fawad Abu-Ghosh, who's worked since 2014 as a producer in the ABC's Jerusalem Bureau. Now, have you seen these tweets? Because I have packs for everyone who hasn't seen them. There's over 40 of them. And there's multiple packs if you need one, Senator Hanson-Young.
So you're tabling those?
I will table these. Thank you. There's printouts to these, dozens of posts by Mr Abu-Ghosh's personal Twitter account that identifies him, though, as an ABC producer, and it actually demonstrates him showing extreme racist and anti-Semitic views about Israelis. For example, in April 2022, Mr Abu-Ghosh tweeted a screenshot of Israeli police detaining an unidentified civilian and added a comment, and I quote, "This is how the Nazis treated the Jews. Maybe it's time for ... 4 exclamation points."
Point of order.
His posts also show he's using social media to...
Point of order.
I think we should wait for the witnesses to get the copies
Well,
of them.
Mr Anderson's acknowledged he's seen them.
Oh, you've got copies of these? Okay.
So his posts also show he uses social media to promote crazy anti-Israel conspiracy theories. For example, in October 2021, Mr Abu-Ghosh commented on the Twitter account of the Deputy Prime Minister of the UAE, warning his country against making peace with Israel because, again I quote, "There is a great Zionist project to dominate and control all Arabs in the region, !" Mr Anderson, what was the result of that review that the ABC undertook in relation to the social media activity of Fawad Abu-Ghosh?
So, Senator, yes, we have conducted a review. We have reached a determination. Any individual has a right to procedural fairness. What I can say is it is an absolute breach of our code of conduct when it comes to personal use of social media, and I can't comment further at this point. But we're going through a process that is still ongoing at this point. It hasn't concluded.
Okay, so I mean, this directly relates to his professional duties. The ABC.
Yep.
He is a producer in Jerusalem covering what is probably one of the most contentious issues within Israel. We have a broadly reported, I'm not so much sure on the ABC, but certainly elsewhere it's broadly reported of a rising of anti-Semitism across the world, but also in Australia. We saw some abhorrent things during the last election, and in fact from people who were elected endorsing the views of strong antisemites. And since this does directly have influence on what his production role is, has he been suspended whilst this review is ongoing? And if not, why not?
Certainly, Senator, while the review is ongoing, we've counselled the gentleman in question with regard to his use of social media. This is somebody who is, again, whose journalism in the past has been outstanding, won a Walkley Award. However, this instance
I think the Walkleys are up for debate whether they're outstanding journalism.
Well, I think, but what I want to say is he has been a respected journalist for us. I think his personal use of social media has been incredibly disappointing. I don't disagree that undermines his ability to impartially report from that region for the future. So in the meantime, he's certainly been counselled around personal use of social media, and well, I'm not at the end of the process that we're in at the moment, Senator, so I can't comment any further than that.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I have genuine concerns here that you have not suspended, and clearly you still have in your employ Mr Abu-Ghosh. Now, whether or not he puts this stuff on social media into the future, he has clearly demonstrated a strong anti-Semitic view. Is this the view the ABC holds and wishes to reflect in its coverage of Middle Eastern politics?
No, it's not, nor do we have that in our coverage. It is, again, his social media is not our platform. It is a breach, I believe, a breach of what we've put out there, precisely what we expect our employees not to do, that we don't want them to do that. There is nothing that this individual can publish without it being approved by anybody else. So I'm confident that those views expressed on social media will not end up in the ABC's reporting. And as I said, Senator, so we're going through a process at the moment, and it hasn't concluded yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a number of people around this table who've worked as producers in the media in the past. And one of the things about being a producer is you are responsible for sourcing talent for interviews, for sourcing people to be interviewed, and for putting together stories and quite often writing the scripts for talent to read when it is broadcast or published. How can there be any confidence in light? And this was just not one-off tweet. This was not a random having a bad day. This is a consistent anti-Semitic view that, I mean, is literally alluding to another genocide of Jewish people. Probably the most inflammatory thing you can say, an insulting thing you can say. And not only to people of Jewish faith. I'm not of Jewish faith, and I find it abhorrent that someone would suggest that reenacting the acts of the Nazis is an appropriate way to behave, yet someone is still in the employ and still actively producing content in the Middle East for the ABC, someone who is responsible for deciding who was interviewed. You can, I mean, we see it time and again, and it's very easy to pick. You know, we see certain people given government contracts in the health side because they support a certain view on vaping. It's very easy to skew the information you want to portray by choosing the people you interview. So if you can just, how do you justify this, and how do Jewish Australians and any decent Australian who is offended by anti-Semitism and calling on for the genocide of Jews, how do you say to them as Australian taxpayers, give us your money while we employ a known anti-Semite to report on the Middle East?
Senator, we have certain obligations when it comes to people's employment. I am abiding by those obligations. We have, as I said, determined it was a breach. We are working through the process for which the individual is lawfully entitled to. So that process is coming to an end very, very shortly, Senator.
Well,
and I'll say in the meantime that our
people are
reporting,
suspended for less whilst they're being.
Well, so our reporting has not been found to be anti-Semitic, nor will it be, with the checks and measures that we have at the moment. So I give you the undertaking that we will continue to report as we should, impartially and accurately, without those views, which I agree with you, that are out there on social media, working their way into our reporting. So, as I said, Senator, that's as much as I'm afforded to be able to tell you at the moment. I wish I could say more.
Well, I look forward to seeing your next
restricted
estimates where we can get an update on Mr Abergosh's employment.
Certainly.
And at that stage, maybe keep this on notice for later, if the ABC will be issuing an apology to Jewish Australians and any decent Australian that is offended by anti-Semitism and calls for genocide to be conducted on a particular group.
Yep. Yes, Senator.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Hughes.